doesn't matter how strong we are, our body has a butterfly or an anxiety, and we have to pass that.
What's up, everybody? This is Newton Mayenge. Welcome to the league. Today's topic is on perseverance, and our next two guests exemplify just that. The first is a former Olympic boxer from Ethiopia who unfortunately was unable to participate in the 1984 Olympics due to political reasons. He would eventually, 30 years later, return back to the ring. The second is the director of Suffer for Good, which tells the life story of our first guest. He is also a producer of a pilot which was executive produced by Sterling K. Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to welcome boxer Seb Zewdie and director Dan Simmons. Hey, Zeb. Hey, Danny. How are you doing? Welcome to the league.
Thanks so much.
Well, thanks so much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming on our show today. I mean, this is a show that's very dear to our hearts from the league. One, because I'm a former athlete as well. And so your story really resonated with my own personal experience. Just to kind of give you a brief background on myself. I grew up, basketball was my love. And I played the game of basketball. I got an opportunity to play overseas. I played in Germany for a couple seasons. Going into my third season, I had signed a contract to play in Spain, in Barcelona. And prior to leaving, a drunk driver hit me and ended my career. So I was all set. You don't know what my career could have been. I had a couple NBA summer leagues that I had an opportunity if I would have played out that season in Spain. So your story really resonated in me because I felt something was taken away from me that I worked so hard to achieve prematurely that I could not control. I did the right things. I did all the steps the correct way, and it was taken away prematurely. So I kind of wanted to start first, Danny, how did you and Zeb meet to ultimately begin the journey of coming up with your directorial debut, which is called Suffer for Good?
Sure. Yeah. Seb, do you want me to go first, or would you?
For you.
Yeah. So Seb and I met at Sony Pictures. So he was training pro and amateur MMA fighters at Sony Pictures. There's kind of like an Equinox level gym that they give to their corporate employees. I was just a corporate guy doing Excel stuff. Former athlete as well. So I played baseball in college, and so I thought I was a pretty athletic guy. I can go in there and on my lunch break take some boxing lessons. And Seb was the coach, right? He was training some famous actors and stuff. I was like, hey, this is a great opportunity for me. I go in, and within 5 minutes of his warm-up, I'm dying. He's laughing at me, truly ridiculing me in front of the whole class. And then 5 minutes later, he's slapping me. He's hitting me with the mitts. Get back your arm. Get back your hand. And I immediately, like, he was so gregarious. He had such a charming laugh about him. And I was like, what's your story, man? And I remember we went into kind of like the closet where you hang up the boxing mitts. I was like, what's the deal? Where's your accent from? What is it? And he's like, I think at the time I was like, are you from Cuba? And I was like, I can't dial in this accent. He's like, I'm from Ethiopia. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, you just think I'm Cuban because there's good boxers from Cuba. I'm like, well, hey, I'm sorry, and then I had to know his story. I was like, well, Ethiopia, how did you get to Sony Pictures? Where does that, what's the story there? And he's like, you don't want to know my story. I was like, well, now I have to know, he tell me. So he told me that, obviously in the film, you'll see it, how Seb ultimately came to the US. But I was immediately like, all right, does anyone ever done a doc on you? And he's like, well, there's a guy who said he wanted to do one. I was like, well, hey, I'm not great. I'll bring my camera and we'll figure it out. And then one day later I show up to the gym. I don't have just a little DSLR, and he was like surprised I showed up because, in LA, it's like, I'll do this. And then, people don't follow through. It's the LA thing. And he's like, you're here? I was like, you told me to show up, and right away, it was a guy from my high school. I went to high school 1 year at this school, El Camino Real, and then I transferred for baseball to Chatsworth. Yeah. But this guy, Jared Papazian, was his prized pupil, was Seb's, he was a former UFC fighter who was knocking out people as a boxer. Yeah. I was like, dude, I know you, man. And then we had a mutual friend, Tyler Kolodny, who played for the Dodgers. And I was like, this is a good sign. And I think that night Seb's like, I think I might want to get back in the ring myself, feeling the vibe of the camera And then from there, I mean, five and a half years later, we are here with you, Newton. So that's kind of like that's how we met. And it was kind of, you know how it is, love at first sight. I think it was love of the story at first sight. And there I stopped training as much, so I gained some weight. You know how it goes. But I was able to gain a story, and I think it's inspiring many people. So ultimately, Seb's just so charming. He's an amazing human friend. I would almost say father figure, but also mentor to me. So thank you, Seb, and thank you, Newton, for bringing us on.
Oh no, the pleasure's all mine, and it's such an awesome story. That's how things work. You know, you don't know who comes into your life, and you don't know how things happen, and who you meet. I do want to start going into. Let's take it back to 1984. 1984 Olympics. You made the Olympics, and you were all set to go. Zeb, can you take me back to that whole process and how you felt during that time frame? First, the excitement, and then, of course, when you got the news that you weren't going to be able to compete.
Yeah, to be in an Olympic team, and especially in Africa, probably you might have a little background about that. You might have a little knowledge. It's not easy to be in an Olympic team. Very challenging. And plus, I think Danny, I told Danny too, but my two sisters, and they were ping pong players, the best ping pong players in Africa. They traveled a lot of countries to represent in Ethiopia. Also, they represent the whole Africa. One of my sisters, she represent the whole Africa, and she went to North Korea for the world champion, and she became 16th place.
Oh wow!
And when they fly, and when they flew out of country, she defected in Egypt, and she came to California, and she got a scholarship from Egypt too. She went to California. Then, since then, the government, they know me as my sister. They know they live in the U.S. So I know when I became to be qualifier the Olympic team, I have to win my two top opponents by knockout. I know if I make a good decision, they're gonna get those guys. They're gonna get both of them. They're military teams, so they're gonna give it to them. I did committed to knock out this top opponent to be number one nominated for the Olympic team. Okay. And I worked day and night. To be honest, even that time, I didn't have any diet food, to be honest. After I run in the morning, I have only maybe bread and milk. That's what I had. And I go practice at 9 o'clock. I didn't say anybody. I don't tell anybody. And I work my own stuff, like just really hell workout. And to be the first day, the first qualifier when we get in the fight, I knock out my fighter the first round. I knock him out the first guy. And this is the first accomplishment. I have one more good to go. I don't want to go to decision. I have to knock out the guy, period. And this is my no doubt about it. I'm a civil, I'm a student, and I about to graduate high school, maybe 17 years old. Yes, I didn't even finish high school. And it just really, I don't have anybody behind me to support me. I'm just by myself. And a little business people, they like the way I fight. And the second one, I knocked out this guy second round. I became number one with my division, number one nominated.
Wow.
And I said, hallelujah. And after that, and they put me in a hotel for the whole year. And they bring a Russian coach for the Olympic team. We work 3 times a day practice. 5:30 in the morning, we wake up, we run 3.5 miles. And come back hotel, take a shower, have a breakfast. 9:30 to 12:30, 3-hour practice in the gym. In the afternoon, I was there, 3 o'clock, 3:30 to 4:30, 1-hour practice. The whole year, every Saturday, top sport. And I had a dream. I want to go to the Olympics. I want to turn pro. I want to have a better life there. That was my goal, daily life, is that we talk with the friends. And finally, the due date was tomorrow. Ethiopia, the last country that she notified for the Olympic Committee, it would not come in. And they said, we had a hope until then. Then the last day was tomorrow, they then announced the Ethiopian team were not going to Olympic. I just throw myself to the ground and just shatters. And like simply like you now, you want to be NBA, it just out of control. Everybody started crying and just nothing happened. It's no goal. And our goal of vision, that's why I went to different direction. I get stuck in my chest on my right hand side. I just different direction from there. No hope. And it's just very sad situation that I thank God and just ended up here. And God has a reason that I had an accident on you. It happened to me, and everything. I ended up here. So that's what happened in Olympic. It's very, very sad situation at that moment.
Wow, that touches my heart so much because I can definitely relate to that. That's why the whole concept of the title "Suffer for Good," that whole philosophy is so deep because it's very universal. Anybody can relate to it, especially if you have a goal in mind that you've set to accomplish and it gets taken away outside of your control. So I know you also had, before I actually bring that up, how did the whole concept of suffer for good and that philosophy come about?
Yeah, to suffer for good is the coach that I told you that who came for the Olympic to help the Olympic teams. He is really great coach. I mean, he changed the whole team. I mean, we beat Cubans. They come to Ethiopia to compete. We beat Cubans. We're a really tough team. We changed the team. I mean, completely changed. And I pick a lot of techniques, good techniques, and he loved me and it just take me one-on-one session with him. And I hate running and just when he took me to run to a high elevation mountain, when I ran, he said, keep on suffer. And it's just, what else do I mean? I mean, this is a painful suffering in the mountain, high elevation, to run 10 kilometers with a jacket, with heavy jacket. And I'm suffering. What else? This is a really deep suffering. I'm in life and death. And he will go. He said, keep suffering. His English is a little bit kind of just very hard to explain it. He's from Russia, so I didn't get the point that he's trying to say suffer. Then I had a good friend of mine. He was a world champion marathonist, and he was an Olympic team also. And I asked him, "How you guys running 42 kilometers?" And I will have a big problem to finish 10 kilometers.
Yes.
And he pointed out a good point for me, and I won't forget. And also, I give all for everybody. That's a good example. For the first 20 kilometers, you run for your life.
Wow.
What does that mean? And the first 20 kilometers, and if you slow down, you might die. You might broke your legs or somehow. The first 200 runners, the top runners, they put them in the front. So as when they shoot the gun, the 200 runners, the best runner, they took off the same speed. If you slow down, you get pushed. You don't have time to get up. And there is about minimum 800,000 people behind you. So they're going to walk on you. You might die. You might get, so many injuries and people die too. And that's the first 20 kilometers you will run for your life. And after 20 to 30 kilometers, so you suffer. And people stop running, start walking. Some people go to hospital because blood pressure might go low, and so many obstacles coming up at that time. So that's the time you suffer. From 20 to 32 kilometers, you suffer. And after that, you cruise, just you run. You cannot stop. So most of us, we're not able to suffer that time and to keep going to achieve our goal. Most of us, we go different direction from our goal because we don't like to suffer.
Yes.
So even this is not only athleticism, it's all relationship, families, and work ethic, or any kind of thought you want to achieve. There in between, there is a suffering.
Yes.
So you have to be able to pass that, then you get to achieve your goal. That's why I come up with that suffer for good.
And that's why we wanted to call this show Persevering, because you literally just hit it on the nail. Waking up with the perseverance while you're going through that suffering. You can either quit or you can continue to push forward. It's huge because I got a chance to watch the trailer and the documentary as well, and it was so inspirational because I myself, and I want to talk about your son in a second as well, but I myself, I had this whole workout, and I'm sure Danny can attest to it being an athlete as well. I'm waking up at 5 a.m. I'm going and running 5 miles, come home, eat breakfast. And then I'll go and I'll go lift weights for an hour and a half, come home, eat again. And then I'll go and work on my basketball moves for another hour and a half, 2 hours, work on specific things, specific techniques, come home, eat again. And then I'll go play pickup, just to utilize some of those moves to master them.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I'll go to basketball practice. And that was my day. And I heard this in the documentary, Danny and Zeb, and it literally almost brought tears to my eyes because the formula is there. That's the work ethic. And it was just amazing to me. It resonated within me so much. And I could also feel your pain, Zeb, on not being able to fully get to the height that you wanted to get to. And that's why, Danny, I felt it was such a great thing that you did. I thought it was fantastic that you were able to put that on film and document it. Tell me, as you were going through it, Danny, how did you feel just from an emotional standpoint, and also being a former athlete? How did it affect you while you were shooting the documentary?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Newton. I think that I felt that during the build up to the fight, there's just so much emotion, like you said, and excitement and nerves, and I felt as if I was in there too. I'm sure if there's someone filming me shooting it, I'm probably going like this. You know what I mean? I'm not looking as good as Seb does, but my head is moving around, like you do when you're watching a UFC fight or a boxing match. But yeah, I think I felt like there's redemption, right? Everyone deserves a second chance, and obviously with your story, humans can feel that, right? The things within our control, obviously you did everything within your control to stay safe, and same with Seb. There's just stuff that happens in life, and I think that's what determines the measure of our character. And I think Seb's character, even at the end, the way he lives his life through Matty and Ebby and Effie is like that's the perfect takeaway. That's the American dream. That's what it is to be a good father. That's what it is to be. That's the good. That's the fruit of the labor, which is family. Seeing your son grow up to be wise beyond his years. I mean, that's like, to me, these are these themes. It's like, I didn't see that at the time. I mean, obviously I knew at the time. I was like, man, he's really pretty profound. He's seeing the future, talking about at the time where it was 2016-ish. So he was talking about a different election. But he even almost kind of predicted the issues that happened in this past election. Hey, if you wouldn't get all the votes, that means that you should be the president. And here we had a president that said, no, I didn't get all the votes. I deserve to be president. And so, I mean, Matty said that 4 years before Trump went off on his thing. So it's just like he's wise beyond his years. So Seb has done his job as a father, and I think that the film is about going back to the past and getting that last little bit of redemption. And we got it. I mean, we're here now getting to communicate with you about your past traumas and how you're overcoming it with creativity. It's cool. I love it. I'm just blown away by the internet. I love creating stuff. Seb, I'm sorry. I wear your shirt so much that I eventually have to wash it. That's this my Suffer for Good shirt. But that's how I felt going through it. I was nervous, anxious, excited, and proud. I mean, at the end of the day, the man in the arena, right? It's about getting in the arena. And I am inspired by Seb. I'm like, man, why don't I do it? I personally want to do. The reason I found Seb is because I have this desire to go into the boxing gym, and he was like, you should maybe do one amateur like little match and get knocked out, Dan. I wanted to do a jiu-jitsu match or something like that, and I haven't done it, so there's no excuse now. I'm gonna do it. I promise you, Seb. We're gonna do it. Nashville or bust, baby.
That's it. That's
right.
it. Yeah. I love it. I mean, now moving into it, 30 years later, you decided to go back into the ring. I mean, how awesome and inspirational is that? I mean, that right there, it just blew my mind. I had 4 knee surgeries. So I had my 4th one because I had 3, and then I tried to make a comeback, and I came back too soon. So I don't want to give away the documentary because I don't want to do people a disservice by not watching it. But I do remember certain points where I could relate, just, checking on my knee and things like that. I came back too early, and I hurt it again. So I had to have a fourth knee surgery.
Wow.
So for you to go to that climax of being able to come back after 30 plus years, how was that whole experience for you? And how did it make you feel after the fact to have achieved that goal?
Yes. To when I get back, they said, you know what? Let me go back to the ring for our documentary movie. Makes it great. And also, I would like to show for my family, especially for my students and for my children. And,
Yes.
I kind of complete something, my work ethic, my strengths, my moral, my confidence, and to show my son. And, every daily basis now we talk with my son. And sometimes I train him boxing now, we got this. Come on. I see him, he suffer, he go through it.
Yes.
And when I go to the ring, and I know the process when you do the master division, it's not easy. You have to have a medical and your blood test, and you have echo, you have to have EKG, and so on. So even some doctors, and I say as you see on documentary, they don't say justify with my situation. And I saw it on a movie, and I didn't know when the doctor, she said that. I said, wow. And I know it's my condition is not good as I was, but, plus I didn't practice. You know what? I can't take it. I can't handle it. So I will have to show for the people, especially here in America, people that are so weak. So weak. I've been working so many. I've been teaching over 20 something years now.
Yes.
And I talk to them, different situation. You see some in the street that are strong, they look tough, but when you talk to them closely, what they're passing through, so are so soft. And I know the guy that he's a weightlifter. I used to teach him, and he's a strong guy, and he used to spar sometimes with me. He's soft. It's just like he cried literally. And I can't handle this. What can I do with my kids, with my wife, with my life? It's so tough. How I'm gonna pass through? Can you help me? I'm talking about this guy. He has everything. So their confidence, they have self-esteem. They don't have confidence. They don't know how to pass that. They don't know how to challenge the problems. So let me do it. Just I can show for my son. My son is gonna have a big challenge in the future, especially this time. And I have to show for my family, for my students. And when I push them, I know how hard. I know how hard I push them. Even NFL players, they come to me when I train them. It's Coach Seb, you are tough. You are mean. And so you're a tough guy. We never seen that kind of coach. And I know you've been a high-level athlete, but I trained them. IndyCar drivers come, I train boxing. And we never seen this kind of coach. You are mean. I said, you better work hard. You have to pass that through. So to be a good example, I have to do something for our movie too. Then I walked in and go through well. It's just very accomplishing. I'm very happy. I'm glad I did it. Actually, I'm going to do one more.
That's what I'm talking about. As you're speaking, it reminded me of my father. My father's African. He's from the Congo. So a lot of those things that you endured growing up, it was very similar as far as the conditions, right? So he kind of transferred that to me rather, as far as work ethic and fighting. And you're not dealing with anything, but pain is only it's only an illusion. Suffer for good. In other words, you fight hard and you work and you can persevere to get what you want, but don't make any excuses. And that translates to everyone else to where you can inspire folks as you've done all your fighters, as you've done your children. I see your kids are extremely intelligent, extremely motivated, and you can tell that they're loved and they want to do something big in their life. And that's an accomplishment to what you've done and what you've instilled in them, the work ethic. So I'm just so excited to be able to continue to share your story on our platform. And Danny, where can we find the documentary as of right now so people can start to see it?
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon, iTunes, Google, and anywhere your device is Voodoo. We're pretty much available on all streaming VOD platforms. So if you even put it in your TV, Comcast, Verizon, all those things, you can VOD purchase it. And then as far as rental, you can go to YouTube and rent it. Any of those, I think we've had a lot of users use kind of a whole swath of outlets. But you can go to sufferforgood.com, and we have our link tree on there. So sufferforgood.com, and then boom, all of the ways you can download, review, and watch the film.
That's exciting. What's next for both of you gentlemen? Zeb first.
For the next one, I hope after we finish, I hope we'll get together again to do the part 2. That's my goal. Always, I talked with my younger son. He said, "Danny, I'm gonna call Danny. We need to do a part 2." He said,
Heck yeah.
I love
this
it.
time Seb's gonna fight me. Yeah.
Oh man. Hey, well, you got a great coach, so hey, that's gonna be exciting to see. Once I get my knees back ready and right, I just took an MRI yesterday. Matter of fact, once I get my knees back right, I'm gonna be calling you up, Deb, and be like, I'm gonna need a little bit of training here too. So
would you injure on your knee? ACLs? Is that the thing? ACL,
kneecap, MCL, everything you can think of from an athlete's perspective. I injured in a car accident. So yeah. So now I'm just waiting to get back to my results, and hopefully it's nothing too crazy. It's been a lot of pain, but like anything, we suffer.
Yeah.
Good.
Right. Yeah. And how long ago was that? Sorry, I'm now going into interview mode. How long ago did that happen?
So my accident was back in 2005, and my last surgery was back in 2010. But now I'm trying to compete and trying to get just trying to get in better shape.
Yeah.
And something tweaked, and my knee started swelling up. I couldn't really do much with it, to the point where, all right, let me go get some X-rays and go to the doctor. And so they requested an MRI, and now here I am, just suffering and a lot of pain. But I'm still just trying to continue to stay in shape, and we'll see what happens.
Well, you're doing well, Newton. You look great. So most important, I mean, you might feel terrible, but it's all about what you look like. So you look great. No,
I appreciate it. I really appreciate that.
But yeah, I'm sorry I didn't answer at all. What next? I think Seb and I are just getting Seb's story out in the world. I mean, he's so inspiring. So I think that it comes down to just this grassroots effort, sharing it. I think we're going to try a clubhouse. I also just love saying clubhouse. It's Seb's birthday. We have a couple verbal, confirmations. This guy Bomani, who's an incredible influencer on Clubhouse, agreed to do it. So maybe it's like a celebration. He happens to be Ethiopian. So we're gonna, obviously, Newton, if you're on Clubhouse, I like to say the word. Isn't it fun to say? It's like the new podcast. We're gonna do something like that and talk about suffering for good. What does it mean to overcome adversities beyond our control? So that's kind of it right now.
Okay, yeah, we definitely are on Clubhouse and love to attend. You just let us know, and it's locked in.
Beautiful. And Seb's on Clubhouse too.
Hey, that's it. I would love to do it, and I want to make sure that the audience knows. If you guys on Instagram, what are your handles? That way, people can kind of know where to follow you as well.
Danny.
Oh, okay. You can find us at Suffer for Good Film. That's at Suffer for Good Film, and then you can find my personal is Danny M. Simmons, and then you can follow my company, which is Broken Dove Productions, at Broken Dove Productions, and Seb.
Yes, yeah, you can follow me sebboxing.com, and my website sebboxing.com, and my email is sebzewdie@gmail.com. My first and last name @gmail.com, and you can follow me Suffer for Good Seb Zewdie on Facebook. And also Instagram, Suffer for Good, and Seb Boxing also. And thanks so much for everything. And I really appreciate you. And keep it up. Don't forget Suffer for Good. Love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Such a pleasure to actually get this conversation with you with such an amazing documentary. Everyone, please check it out. It's going to blow your mind, and it's going to be very inspirational. Once again, Zeb, Danny, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Newton.
Everyone, this is Newton Mayenge, the League Talk Show. We will be signing off, but we'll be back. Talk soon.